Okay, now there is a, where's this dipshit? Okay, we did that one. And then, okay, so there's, Trump talks about the China deal on the plane, and then he talks about these other things. So we'll take a look at this. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry I don't have a nut warning. Crap. I'll make one for this setup.
Mr. President.
Hi, thank you very much.
Also, what the fuck is Sean Hannity doing on this trip to Saudi Arabia, other than he just gets a free fucking ride along?
Okay, by the way, we're on a beautiful Air Force One. Not a bad plane.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. It's a beautiful plane, and we're doing a lot of business. We have a lot of good things happening.
Okay, so this is an amazing week so far. You get a deal with China. I'm just going to list.
No, you didn't. No, there was no deal with China. Unless the art of the deal is, look, just keep talking. It's like the Carl Pilkington art of the deal. Sometimes when you say stuff, your brain, if you just keep talking, your brain will come up with things. Like stuff will just come out of your mouth.
And we get into detail. India.
Details.
Pakistan played a big role. Hopefully the peace stands.
It didn't, and he didn't.
You slash prescription drug prices.
No, he didn't.
Nation, the American people will get first dibs in terms of prices.
Gibberish.
The last American hostage has been released. We're on this trip to Saudi Arabia.
The last living one.
There's not much going on in your life, is there?
Well, I've been busy, but I've enjoyed it because we're getting things accomplished.
Yes, we're getting golf course deals and buildings and offers of a free plane, and they brought in a McDonald's truck.
Done. You know, you can have times when you're working very hard and not getting things done. That happens too. But we're getting a lot done. I don't think there's
so much wisdom. It's hard to even fathom. Somebody write that down on some toilet paper. I'll need it later.
Period like this with the potential nuclear war, and two countries, they have very good leaders, people I know very well, and you know, it was a very important process. We got involved with India and Pakistan.
You got involved early. Can you give us a little insight what happened behind the scenes?
Yeah, tell us how the India-Pakistan thing went. Yeah, like what did you say when you didn't talk to them?
Well, I didn't like what was happening, and
yes, okay. So you were watching television.
You hear, you know, they're two very strongly nuclear countries, very, very powerful amount of nuclear too. Serious.
Oh dear.
And if that ever started, boy, that's the beginning of something.
Oh man, if there was ever a nuclear war, it would not be good. Yeah. I mean, I'm so glad we have an expert.
It'd be really bad. Even a minimal, you could have millions of people killed. And with one shot, two shots.
3 shots, 4 shots.
And I just thought it was something we could get involved in. And I did a good job. Marco did a good job. And JD did a good job. We sort of were a team. And we, I think, convinced them to let's have peace and let's go and make trade deals. If we can.
Nope.
Trade deals, we like that much better than nuclear weapons. And that was a great thing, and we did a good job with the Houthis. They stopped with the shooting of the ships. They
nope.
Shooting ships. Is that a done deal? Because there's been conflicting reports that
yeah, is that a done deal? Because they've been firing on ships and at Israel.
The leaders are saying, "Oh, that's not true."
Well, it is with respect to America now.
Yes, the deal is done as far as we're concerned. I've said it's happened, so therefore it is happening. And if they actually shoot at us, I'm just going to ignore it, because in the fantasy world I live in, Sean, you're talking to a moron.
Can't always count on somebody necessarily telling the truth, but
case in point,
their surrogates were very strong, very powerful, very good.
Ew.
Relationship with them. You know that.
You mean in Qatar?
Fighters, they can take a lot of punishment, but with respect to America, they say it's true. So we'll see. You'll know.
What?
The first to know, won't you?
Well, I follow the news closely. I read everything. I think the biggest.
No, you don't. Also, if you follow the news closely, you'll know that they've attacked again.
Prize from this weekend It was a week ago Friday where I saw that China announced, quote, if the president is serious, we will be willing to negotiate with him. And Scott Bessent, your Treasury Secretary, met with their representatives in Geneva on Saturday. On Monday, you're announcing a trade, well, actually on Sunday, you announced a deal with China.
Yeah.
How did that happen that quickly?
Well, they met on Saturday and Sunday, and they had a deal pretty much from the beginning. It was the concept of a deal.
The concept. We have concepts of a plan, of a deal. We have a concept about a plan that we're going to turn into a deal.
And, you know, one of the things that, as you know, it's sort of a 90-day deal as we negotiate other aspects. But
okay. The deal is the pause. It's a 90-day deal. The deal is the pause while you talk more. That's the deal. Let me know if you need me to slow down if there's too many numbers flying at you all at once, kids.
one of the things I think that could be most exciting for us and also for China is that we're trying to open up China because, as you know, many years ago we opened up the USA. Now it's time for China to open up, and that's part of our deal. And
they got to, even with their bigger population, they don't have the consumer base that we have, and they're not going to.
Open up China, to me, that's the most exciting part. But yeah, we made a deal. The relationship is very good. I've always had a good relationship with President Xi. It was interrupted because of COVID.
Also, no, you haven't.
But outside of that, I've always had a great relationship.
Yeah, outside of a million dead.
A lot of respect for him. And we'll see how that all works out. But
we will. I don't think it will, but okay.
The confines of a very, very strong deal with China. But the most exciting part of the deal, it was mentioned, but we don't talk about it yet. That's the opening up of China to U.S. business. And that would be like opening up a whole new world, and I think it would be even better for China. So I think we'll be able to make that deal, I hope.
At any point...
Great. So it's a hope deal. Excellent. Those are the best kind.
You foresee yourself...
Hashtag hope deal.
Dealing directly...
Hashtag nope deal.
With President Xi on the final details of this deal.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the two of you. The two dipshits who can't read.
I could see that. I mean, I'm not sure that it'll be necessary, but that happened with the UK. We were close to a deal, but we needed 1 point or 2 points on pork and ethanol. Okay, two very different subjects.
Not really.
And I called
a lot of people make ethanol accidentally when they're eating pork.
The Prime Minister is an excellent...
Now I'm hungry. Great, thanks.
Man, Keir.
For ethanol, of course.
Excellent man. And within about 3 minutes, it was over. We made the deal. It was a good deal for everybody. And we have a lot of deals now. We have a lot of trade deals that I'd say virtually everybody wants to make a deal. Virtually.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard them. Like, they've come out ever since, since the British one and since the China 90-day pause. It's been nothing but, like, country after country. We keep hearing about all these countries that are in the process of making a deal. It's amazing. Like, Uzbekistan and Burkina Faso and the islands. Also, big traders. They in clamshells. We need a lot of those. Wampum, I think it was called.
When I first saw you, and thank you for letting us cover this and report on this from Air Force One. When I first saw...
Thanks for the free trip to Saudi Arabia.
I think you were more excited. You were excited about the China deal, but prescription drugs, which has been very, very painful for a lot of Americans. 80% of medications are created in America, and then we end up paying more for those medications. Foreign countries do not pay as much as we do. You said that is over. Can you explain why this is such a big deal?
Well, how about this? First, explain how you're actually going to do it. We know you've written an executive order for HHS to do a review of said thing, but you haven't actually shown how you can actually make that happen and not violate the Commerce Clause.
Years we were taken advantage of by other countries and the drug companies, but I blame the other countries in a way more, the European Union, etc. They were very nasty and very tough to the drug companies. And
Aw, are they okay? Have you called them? Guys, has anybody who's checked on the pharmaceutical companies right now? Are they all right? Are they sitting in the park, like, on a bench, head in hands, looking like somebody who just lost their dog?
They would give them a very low price for drug costs in the European...
They would negotiate a bulk price for drugs that were necessary for their populace? Weird. Who would do that?
Nations. And when that price was given, that was it. They wouldn't negotiate. They said, let America pay for the difference.
Yeah, that's what they said. Or they said, no, thank you, we won't use that drug then. And the drug companies went, well, what if we gave you this deal? Nah, fuck you. What about this? No. Well, our break-even price is $15. Can you do 20? Okay. 25% profit? Sure.
The world with other countries, and we had stupid people leading us, and especially over the last 4 years, and they wouldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, because this is a new problem.
And it turned out that we were paying, and sometimes you saw 10 times more for the same drug. Same drug, same company, same plant where they make it, laboratory. And it got to a point where I said, we're not going to do this anymore. The pharmaceutical industry is very powerful.
Uh-huh.
Probably the most powerful, considered the most powerful lobby. And
now I got to go with military. I mean, I suppose pharmaceutical companies could poison you. But my guess is the military would be more concerned. As far as a powerful lobby you wouldn't want to piss off, that would be my biggest concern. I think doesn't mean they're going to. I'm not assuming that they're going to be that way, but I would say it if you're taking your chances.
Democrats were making it impossible to lower drug prices. They knew what they were doing. And I instituted...
Whoops. Hold on. Where's my...
Where we're going to pay whatever the lowest country pays in the world. So if it's the UK, which pays very low.
Yeah, that's what it said in the executive order. How?
Any country. It could be any country, whatever the lowest price is. And the drug companies have accepted it. Everybody accepts it. But
yeah, Don Jr. came up with this, right? He wants to pay the same for cocaine that guys in the actual room cutting it in Colombia make.
The Democrats never wanted to play ball. They never wanted to do anything. It's the Democrats' fault that people were being ripped off for years and years.
That's hilarious. This has actually been something that Democrats have tried to do and Republicans have run interference for. It's why it's not in the budget. He had to do it in an executive order to make a big thing out of it, but it's not actually in their budget, and it's not going to be.
And now I hear Democrats saying, oh, well, we're going to now go for the bill. It's going to be very hard for them not to approve the...
All right, and that's the other thing. He was saying he put it in the bill because if it's in the big, beautiful bill, Democrats couldn't possibly vote against this, even though there's dozens of other horrible things in there, like you'd cut Medicare, Medicaid, and all this stuff. Like, they're not going to vote for it just because it has that in there. You can't just, because if it's so important to you, let's just make it a separate bill. Why won't you make it a separate vote? Because it would pass. It'd pass in a fucking heartbeat. So why does it have to be in the big, beautiful bill? Oh, because you're using it as leverage, and it's just politics.
Beautiful bill that we're doing. We're doing the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country because people are going to be getting a 50 to a 90% reduction in drug prices, not a 0.5%. I remember when I would fight so hard to get a 0.5 point, and I actually had it down a 0.5 point for 1 year, and I was so proud of myself because that never happened before. It was always going up. Drugs only went in one direction. That's up.
No, specifically over the arc of a drug's existence, there's legislated a cliff where a generic becomes available, specifically written into law. This is the only other place you find this is fucking Mickey Mouse cartoons.
And now, after studying the industry, it's a very complex industry, but I figured
it is. You figured it out in 10 minutes.
And I said, it's not going to happen. But the Democrats fought very hard to keep the prices of drugs very, very high. They really are to blame for this because they should have done something about it. And when the Republicans went with requests, they said, we're not going to approve it. and now we have a unified Republican Party. But I think that
Yeah, totally. That's why we've had to punt this fucking bill 3 times.
Democrats are going to approve this bill too, because how are they going to reject a 60, 70, 80% drug cut?
I don't know. They could say, I'm not voting for the rest of the shit in this, but if you want to pass that, we'll vote on it right now. That'd be easy. Democrats can go, they're just trying to trap us into, I'm not going to throw the entire bill is a poison pill. Just you throw a couple of good things in there to try and lure us into it. I'm not going to cut off aid to poor people and people who are indigent and stuck at home. And no, fuck you. Why don't you care enough to just do it as a bill by itself?
I don't think they can.
Watch.
I think it's going to be huge. The fact that these drugs are the creation of these drugs. I mean, these companies have to go through a very arduous process to get approval by the government. They spend billions of dollars, and put aside whether or not, quote, people demonize big pharma. That's separate and apart.
Yeah.
However, we
yeah,
usually end
put
up
that
creating
aside.
them, and then we end up paying 10 times more, which is crazy.
Well, they used to use that, if I could interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead and interrupt him.
They used to use that as a reason why we were paying 5 and 10 times more than other countries. They say because of research and development. And I'd always say, well, what about you doing research and development for the rest of the world too? Why are we paying for 100%? So we paid 100% for research and development, which, along with other things, believe it or not, raised the price to a point where you were 5 to 10 times higher than the rest of the world.
He's on a fucking loop. Okay, so spreading the cost out over everywhere as far as research and development and all that kind of stuff. I already showed that of our healthcare costs in the country, the top 4 most expensive things, drugs are 4th, and the 3rd most expensive is the sort of miscellaneous other shit. And in that, 1/7 of it is spent on research and development. The cost of medical treatment in the United States is more about surgical procedures, hospital stays, ambulance rides, material like IVs and respirators and the time on those things and medications while you're in the hospital, not chronic disease where you're getting, these regular drugs. It's a big portion of it, as far as, it's like, I don't know, whatever, 9.2% of overall spending. It's about, $400 million, something like that. But the rest of it, there's $4.6 to $4.9 trillion spent on healthcare every year.
Oh, the story today, it was well received. A friend of mine.
Oh, Fat Shot. He's going to tell Fat Shot again.
Slightly overweight, to put it mildly, went to a drugstore in London, and he was able to get one of the fat shots. I call it the fat shots, the jabs, that you lose weight.
By the way, a lot of people laugh at that. Some people get offended by. I don't get offended by anything.
I'm just glad.
No, and Sean, you're a pussy. You get offended by a lot. I mean, your entire show is you getting offended. You just think because you're self-righteously indignant and you're all riled up that's not you being offended. It is. Can we? All right, hold the phone. Let's clarify this for a fucking second, shall we, kids? While we're at it, because I'm winding near the end of the show and I want to be able to see. There we go. Can I just say that there's been this idea for the longest time that the left gets offended and the right is impervious to it. And I would argue, go look at any right-wing, like Glenn Beck, fucking Sean Hannity, Mark Levin is in a constant state of offense. That's the head shake and the fucking, like, if anybody's ever been triggered, it's these motherfuckers. It's almost to the point where they don't realize they're offended because that's not the word they use for it. Maybe that's it. But I got to tell you, they're just as offended. Like Hannity, Gutfeld, holy shit. Gutfeld gets more offended at things. Look at his fucking face when he starts getting wound up on things. That's somebody who's offended. He literally, even though he's supposed to be doing a funny show, can't bring himself to be funny about a bunch of these things because he's so fucking pissed. Hold on, I'm reloading my chat because it wasn't moving for some reason. I always have to check and see everyone. Right? Yes, Mark Levin, always, self-righteously indignant and stuff. That's offense. They're offended. Mark Levin is still alive. I wouldn't call that living. I'm just saying. Gutfeld has a hair trigger. Yeah, and it's amazing to me, like, how humorless he actually is about a lot of these things. It's absolutely a weakness. Fatty Fat Shot, a.k.a. Ozempic, Gutfeld is offended. Okay, and you guys know this. I don't get offended. I can get insulted if somebody insults me directly, I suppose. But being offended to me is being insulted on behalf of somebody who isn't present, and that the ego involved in that is something that's beyond me. So I don't in any way, like, I just don't do offended. It doesn't work. And again, it's like, it's the same issue I have with problematic. Oh, I'm offended. Oh, that's problematic. Like, no, it's racist. If it's racist, call it out as fucking racist. If it's sexist, if it's anti-gay, anti-trans, call it that. It's not a phobia. They're pricks. I'm not offended. You're an asshole. You don't, and that's the other thing. Like, if somebody's an asshole, that doesn't give them the right to control my emotions. And that's what being offended is. You're giving that gift. Yeah, it's white knighting. You're giving your own emotions away to this person who's just a fucking asshole. I can recognize somebody's being an asshole without being offended by what they're doing in the process of being an asshole. You know what I would consider offensive? The idea that somebody could hijack my emotions without my opinion. So, why do you think my hair looks Gene Simmons today? I think I'm fairly Mark Slaughter, if I do say so myself. I mean, I need bangs, probably. So, yeah. No, nobody gets to make me offended. It doesn't work. Was Gutfeld an actual comic? No, and he still isn't. Dude's not funny. He's never going to be funny. He does this sort of like, it's like an impersonation of other people he's seen be funny. He does all the stuff he's seen other people do to make humor exist, but he can't do it himself. So, just saying. Anyways, that part, it's a sticking point with me. Don't get offended. Stop getting offended. Don't let other people hijack your fucking emotions. What's my sign? I'm a Libra. And my mom's a Libra, and my dad's a Libra. My sister's a Capricorn, but yeah. So, there you go. Let's go back to, where are we? This dipshittery. I think he's almost done.
Use his name. He's actually a very rich guy. He's a very successful guy.
He's glad you didn't use his name.
No, he's very happy. Oh. He knows exactly who I was talking about. He called. He said, that was interesting. He said he was very concerned that I might use his name. It might slip. No, he doesn't have to worry. But he went to London, and he bought this...
Ozempic, Wegovy, one of those?
I guess, yeah. I'm not sure which one.
You're not sure which one? You just said fat shot? It's Wegovy. If he's not trying to bring down his A1C, he's just doing it for weight loss, then it's Wegovy. If he's got diabetes and he's trying to use that, more than likely it's the other two.
Maybe Ozempic. And
it's probably Ozempic.
And he called me. He said, hey, strange thing happened. I just bought a drug. Same company, same plan, same everything. Everything was the same. In one case, I paid in New York $1,300, and in London, I'm paying $88.
Okay. I'm going with this is actually a story about Don Jr. buying Adderall in Mexico. I'm assuming that going forward.
He said, what's going on? Now, he knew nothing. He's a very smart guy. He's a very rich guy. His big problem is he's seriously overweight. But I don't think the drug worked, okay, to be honest with you. But it makes him feel good anyway. But so what happens,
By the way, this is just him digging at the dude being fat. Can I just point that out? Like, I don't think it's working. What he's trying to do is get a laugh. He thought he should get a bigger laugh on It's Not Working the other day. So he keeps going back to this punchline, trying to dig it like a response out of people. Um, I mean, if the guy's on the drug, it's going to have an impact at some point. The other thing is that I don't know when the last time Trump saw this fucking guy, but either way, he's an asshole. This is another situation where Trump's just a prick. Hold on, I'm on the wrong screen. There we go.
He said to me, I paid $88, and in New York I get it for $1,300 or something. A massive difference. And I said, that's right, the drug laws are very screwed up, and I'm doing something about it. He said, you better, because this is crazy. He didn't understand it, but he didn't understand why.
That's why it was Ozempic. It was the A1C one. So it's a necessary thing for diabetic patients to bring down their A1C. So Wegovy is really just about, it's Ozempic, but specifically on the weight loss aspect of it. Both of them can kind of serve the same purpose, but it's much more specific to the weight loss part of it. Whereas it's more than likely if the NHS has picked it up and the price is really low in foreign countries, it's more than likely the ones that they consider a crucial medicine.
And now he understands why, because he watched our news conference this morning, holding his breath, right? But he watched his news conference. But think of it. So he goes to London, and a lot of people go shopping in nearby or even far away countries, and they'll go away once a month or once a week or something. If it's a nearby country, they'll go right across the border and they'll buy the same drug.
He means Mexico.
1/10 the price as we pay in the.
He means Adderall, and he means Don Jr.
Says, and a part of it is the power of the drug companies, which is a very big power. But I think a bigger part is the ruthlessness of other nations.
Ruthlessness. Yes, they're ruthless negotiating for a better price. Yes.
To screw the United States of America.
Yeah, they don't give a shit about screwing the United States. They're trying to get the lowest price for their citizens, which is what we should do. For the very least, Medicare and Medicaid.
And the European Union would be the top because they represent a lot of countries, and they're brutal. And according to the drug companies, tell me this, they're brutal.
So brutal, just so brutal. They're brutal, guys. They're brutal.
And they say this is what we're going to pay.
And the pharmaceutical companies go, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" And then it's over. Maybe they read The Art of the Deal. Maybe we should be reading like the French version of The Art of the Deal or something, because apparently
not going to pay any more, and if you need more, you get it from America. And so they get a low price, so we get a high price. And I ended it. And this has been going on for many years, but nobody realized that you could do. I think I figured out the system.
Is there a fucking window open on this goddamn plane?
Very complex chain of events.
Are they on a train?
And I ended it. And I have to say, the drug companies were great. They were great. They're
so great. They are, guys. They're so great. So great.
Look, it's time. They actually looked, they said, it's time.
Hey, Sean. Yeah, that's what they said. Jesus Christ. This whole, like, you got me. That bullshit story he keeps telling everybody.